in there?
There were some DVDs or movies for young kids here in the center portion of the closet. There was miscellaneous storage. They were using an old Pampers box with some storage in it. Didn't have the original items in it. It was being used for storage.
Exhibit 63, are we back in that small hallway by the bathroom door then?
Yeah, I'm actually standing over by that closet we just looked at and now facing to the east. And I'm looking down the hallway, and this is the door to Sterling's room.
Exhibit 64.
In between the storage closet I was just talking about, Sterling's room on the right-hand side of that short hallway is the bathroom. It's an overall photograph of the bathroom. As it was sitting, the door was open, and this is how I found it.
Exhibit 65. Are you in the bathroom now?
I'm in the doorway, taking a photograph, panning to the right of that original picture we just looked at.
What do we see in the bathtub?
Toys for young kids.
What's the larger black object? Was that a garbage can?
Yes, I believe it is.
And Exhibit 66, are we still in the bathroom?
We are. I actually closed the door to the bathroom to look to see what was behind it and photograph the entire room.
And what do we see in this photograph?
There is a potty chair here, and then a mop bucket and mop.
In Exhibit 67, are you back out in the small back hallway there?
I am. I'm sort of standing in front of the bathroom door, and this is looking to the northeast from that hallway. Again, just to make sure you understand, Sterling's room is to the right here. I'm not looking at Sterling's room, but looking to the right for the room to the north of that, which is the master bedroom.
The master bedroom and Sterling's room are adjacent to each other.
They have a common wall in between them.
And just a few steps from each other, door to door?
Yes. Excuse me.
Exhibit 68, is this just more of a full view of the bedroom from the door?
That is correct.
What do we see on the right side of the photograph?
On the right side is a little playpen or sleeping bed for a younger child.
Exhibit 69, where are you at now?
I am standing in that same area and again panning to the right from the previous picture to get a better overall picture of what's in that room.
Did you also see toys in this room as well?
I believe there were some toys in this room. I believe there were some toys in the playpen.
Exhibit 70, where is this photograph at?
This is the doorway to the room that I took the initial pictures from. This is on the other side of the fan, and of course,
It was plugged in.
it was.
Exhibit 87, explain that to us, please.
Actually, when I was taking the photographs throughout this apartment, as you saw as we went through, and the order I went was I came into the living room area, went to the kitchen area, went down the hallway, did the photograph the bathroom, and then photographed the master bedroom. The last room I went into was Sterling's, and when I walked through the doorway, there was no air movement in that room, and it felt significantly warmer in that room. So what I did is I contacted the Chickasaw County Sheriff's Office, asked them to go to the store and buy a brand new thermometer. And then what I did is I placed that thermometer in the Sterling's room, in the master bedroom, and in the living room to see what the temperature differential was between the rooms. I placed that, this is in Sterling's room. The swing had Sterling approximately 1 foot off the floor, so I placed the thermometer approximately 1 foot off the floor because as you go up in height, it gets warmer, it gets cooler as you go down, so we had it the same height. This is the thermometer in his room. I left thermometers there in the rooms before I took photographs of them for at least 15 to 20 minutes and probably closer to a half hour in each room before I photographs, and this is a photograph of the temperature in the Sterling's room after I left the thermometer there.
What was the temperature?
It was 81 degrees.
What time were you doing this at?
I think I started checking the temperature around 8:30 and
8:30 in the evening.
8:30 p.m. on August 30th.
And throughout the day, I assume, since law enforcement had shown up at the house, had that door been kept open? People were going in and out of the room?
My understanding is when they first got the initial 911 call, which I believe was about 12:57 p.m. that day, that after the first responders got there and checked on the baby, they secured the crime scene. And to my knowledge, nobody went back in that room until I came and took my crime scene photos. About 6:30 that night is when I started. When I arrived at 6:27 is when I arrived at the scene. Started taking photos shortly after that.
Now, did you do the same thing in some of the other rooms?
I did.
All right, so Sterling's room was 81. What was the temperature of the master bedroom?
The master bedroom, one was 76 and one was 77. So
I told you your report said the master bedroom was 76. Would that help?
thank you. Master bedroom was 76 degrees when I took that. Again, I left the thermometer in there, placing it approximately the same height, approximately a foot off the floor. And then I left it for, again, at least 15 minutes, but it was probably closer to between 20 and 30 minutes before I photographed it, just so it would get quantized to the actual temperature in the room.
When you were in the apartment, could you feel a difference between being in Sterling's room and being in the living room or the master bedroom?
Yeah, the temperature in the living room area and the kitchen and the master bedroom was all fairly comfortable for an August day in Iowa. But once you walked into Sterling's room, there was a significant notice of increase in temperature, at least in my opinion. And it felt to me like you walked into a 15 to 20 degree difference. It wasn't that much with the thermometer, and that's why I checked that, so we had some way to gauge what the temperature difference was in the room. But it was certainly stuffy in Sterling's room. There was no air movement, and it felt significantly warmer in that room.
I'm going to hand you, so I'm going to put up another photograph. This is a photograph of Sterling. Explain to the jury, before we put it up, how it was that you ended up taking Sterling to the medical examiner's office.
Okay.
And it'll be photograph 88.
So, as I mentioned, I work for the State Fire Marshal's office and work for DCI. I've done a lot of death investigations. The number of crime scenes I've been on is well into the thousands. The number of death cases I've worked is probably 400 or 500 in essence. But when we take victims and take our decedents and send them to the medical examiner's office for autopsy, we want to take them in as complete a unit as we can. In other words, we don't take stuff off of them typically. So the picture that I took was a picture of Sterling in his swing. What we actually did is disassembled the swing and placed the entire swing into our body bag when we sent it down to the state medical examiner's office to keep everything as intact as possible.
And you say the entire swing. Why don't you explain that?
Yeah. And yes, the swing stands about 4 foot tall, roughly 3.5, 4 foot tall. So that doesn't fit it into our body bag, and it's not easy for transport. So what we did is we actually took the area where the baby is sitting in the swing, and it has a bar that comes up and connects to the main swing support, and we took that apart, and actually just the holder for the child is what we sent.
And then the rest of the swing was collected and also transported to the MD's office, correct?
Yes, I believe it was. Reed Payload, the Chickasaw County Sheriff's Office collected, put the rest of the swing into their evidence, and they have the entire swing.
So I'm going to put up Exhibit 88. And is this what Sterling looked like when he was placed in the body bag?
It is.
And Exhibit 89, what is that a picture of?
After I place Sterling in the body bag, we have a tag in here that has information from the state medical examiner's office as to the person that's in the body bag, so it had Sterling's name on it. I sealed the body bag with both the tag and this blue seal so that nobody else can get into it. That way we have our chain of custody between the scene and the state medical examiner's office.
And then at that time, Sterling was transported?
Yes, it was.
Exhibit 90, what is that a photograph of?
This is a photograph of the area after the swing is removed from Sterling's bedroom.
May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
I'm handing you states Exhibit 92. Can you tell us what that is?
This is actually a sketch that was done by technical investigator Neil Morenz from the Iowa State Patrol of the crime scene. I did a field sketch, and then Reed Palo and John Turbot went back and took actual measurements at the scene. And then those were all transposed into a diagram, a scale diagram of the scene.
Can you tell us the approximate size of Sterling's room?
The room is not a square, so the widest, it is approximately 12.7 by 9.7 feet, which includes the closet space, so you have to take the closet out of that.
And you said that you yourself had made your own drawing. This just makes it look a little bit more professional than
It certainly does, and
pencil and paper.
Yep, quite often I did a field sketch, which I typically do for my crime scenes, and I didn't have all the measurements there in that. We decided to get all the measurements of the building, which we don't always take, but we decided in this case to try and give the size of the rooms, that it was important for everyone to understand how big this room or how small this room actually was, and the apartment itself was.
And that exhibit is an accurate depiction of the layout of apartment number 7 in Alta Vista.
It is.
The state would offer Exhibit 92.
Any objection? No objection. Is admitted.
It doesn't show up as well on the screen here, but it's much clearer on the paper. But let's just walk in the front door. If you put your finger there. Tell us the approximate size of the living room.
The living room is 15 foot from the east wall to the west wall, and the measurement they have is 23.5 foot from north to south, including the kitchen. There is not actually a measurement for the living room itself.
When you walk back into that, I guess I've been calling it a small hallway, but that square in the back there that leads to the bathroom and the 2 bedrooms, what sizes are we looking at in that area?
It's a total of 5.5 feet between the 2 walls in the hallway, and then the length of the hallway itself is 6.5 feet between the storage area and the door to Sterling's room.
And the lines that we see, if you could point out to the jury where the bedroom doors are at, how they know where the bedroom doors are at.
These angled portions are the doors, and the doors swing to the left. That's why it's connected on this side. So this is the door to the master bedroom. This is the door to Sterling's room.
And so that's what you meant then when it just takes a step or two to get from one bedroom to the next.
Correct.
And what size is the master bedroom?
The master bedroom is 10.6 by 13.4 feet. 10.6 from north to south, and 13.4 from east to west in the biggest portion of the room.
You can go ahead and sit there now. When you were at the crime scene, we've heard testimony about bugs, gnats flying around. You saw that?
I did. I saw the gnats flying around Sterling's head.
While you were searching this entire apartment, did you see those gnats anywhere else besides Sterling's room?
I did not see any live bugs, gnats, or anything else throughout the course of the rest of the apartment going through photographing.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Cross. Thank you, Your Honor. In Thiele, on direct examination, you were asked about the cleanliness of the apartment. Prior to August 30th, 2017, you've never been in this apartment, is that correct?
I had not.
You had never met Mr. Koehn, is that correct?
No, I had not.
And you had also never met Ms. Harris, is that also correct?
No, I did not.
So you have no knowledge about how the apartment looked on any other day, is that correct?
No, I do not.
You were also asked about the thermostat in Sterling's room, and I believe your testimony was that it was set, to the best of your approximation, was somewhere between 63 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's correct.
And your experience with thermostats, if it's warmer than what the thermostat says on the heater thermostat, the heat doesn't kick in, correct?
If the temperature in the room is warmer than the thermostat will not kick on. That is correct.
So you're not suggesting to this jury that in August 2017, the heat was running in Sterling's room, is that correct?
No, we didn't have any indication that the heat had actually been running. We checked to see if it was running when we were in there. As I said, due to the temperature in that room being near 81 degrees, it should not have been running, and we did not feel any heat coming from it when we were doing our investigation.
Was the door to Sterling's room open when you arrived at the apartment?
Yeah, as I said in the photographs, I took the photograph. That's how I found the apartment, or excuse me, the room door in the apartment to Sterling's room. It was partially open.
Was the front door to the apartment open when you arrived?
The actual door to the, are you referring to the actual door to the apartment from
Thank you.
the hallway?
Yeah, the door from the hallway.
Yeah, the door to the hallway was, to the apartment was, the door to the apartment was closed.
To your knowledge, had law enforcement been moving in and out of the apartment throughout the day?
To my knowledge, they had not. We had gotten told by the Chickasaw County Sheriff's Office when we arrived at the scene that after they made the initial first responder response to that and they determined that it was a potential crime scene, that they secured that apartment and nobody else was in or out of the apartment up to the time I arrived.
Was the window, well, I'll call it a window air conditioner unit, we've seen a picture of it that was in the living room, was that running when you arrived?
No, it was not.
And the temperature difference between the master bedroom and the bedroom where Sterling was found was about 5 degrees, is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
Ms. Timmons asked you about Exhibit 91, which is the receipt from ID. Did you actually use the actual receipt when you went through the apartment? In other words, did you have a photocopy or did you have the actual original receipt?
She gave me a photocopy of the receipt to compare to my photographs, which I've done in the last few days, actually, is when I did that.
Does Exhibit 91 indicate how the groceries were paid for?
I would have to take a look at the exhibit again.
You can have more shot. Yes. I'm just going to show you Exhibit 91. I'll draw your attention to that area right there.
Yes, it does show how it was paid for.
How are the groceries that were purchased in Exhibit 91 paid for?
It refers to a Visa card.
When you went through the apartment, did you find any credit cards?
Again, I did not do the searching of the entire apartment. That was done by some other law enforcement officers that were there, both agents from the DCI and the Chickasaw County Sheriff's Office, and I was basically documenting the items that they had found. But throughout the course of their search, they did find a billfold that did have some credit cards.
Do you know whether the credit card found in the billfold matches the last 4 digits on that Visa card?
I do not.
I believe that you testified that you worked a number of death cases in your career, somewhere in the hundreds. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And in this case, you did not observe any decomposition of Sterling's body. Is that correct?
Well, as far as determining the decomposition of the body, I usually leave those observations up to the medical examiner's office. They're forensic pathologists that do a complete autopsy. So I had some concerns over some things that I saw, but I did not document them because I leave the opinions to the state medical examiner's office.
But you've seen decomposing bodies before in your career, correct?
I have.
And based on that, you didn't observe any decomposition of Sterling's body, correct?
There were some marks on his body that I was not quite sure what they were, and again, I left those to the state medical examiner's office to make their determination.
Officer Thiele, do you recall giving a deposition in this case?
I did.
And I questioned you in that deposition under oath, is that correct?
You did.
Do you recall being asked about your observations of the body and whether there appeared to be any decomposition that you observed?
No, I don't, actually.
Okay. Fair enough. If I were to show you a transcript of your deposition, would that help refresh your recollection?
It sure would.
Yeah, you may. Councilman, report 7 and 8 of the deposition, starting on line 23 to 25 on page 7, going through line 2 on page 8. Agent Thiele, I'm going to show you page 7, the transcript of the deposition. I ask you to read lines 23 to 25, and then lines 1 through 3 on this next page, just to yourself. I'll take a copy of the deposition back. Has your recollection been refreshed as to the question and your answer?
Yes.
You now recall me asking about your observation of the body and whether you observed any decomposition?
Yes.
And your answer was no, is that correct?
It was no with some additional words in there.
But the answer was that no, you did not observe any decomposition, correct?
Correct.
Ms. Timmons also asked you about the insects that you observed in Sterling's room. You did not observe any evidence that those insects were actually feeding on the body, correct?
No, I did not.
Did you observe a baby bottle in the room where Sterling was?
Yes, there was a baby bottle in the photographs along the east wall between the swing, laying on the east wall, east of the swing.
Was there any formula or liquid that looked like baby formula in that bottle?
I don't believe that there was. I believe the bottle appeared to be empty.
Did you observe any bottle with any would appear to be liquid or formula, anything like that in there that you recall?
Not that I recall.
Thank you, Agent Thiele. I don't have any other questions.
Redirect.
What were your other words in the deposition?
When asked about decomposition, my answer, I believe, and I don't have it right here in front of me, but I believe said no. And then I said, I guess I took a lot of photographs. And again, as I said, referring to the fact that I leave those statements up to the state medical examiner's office to determine. I did not say that in my deposition, just to be clear. But I started to say that I had seen some stuff, but I just said I took a lot of photographs.
That you didn't disturb the body.
And I did not disturb the body, correct?
That's all I have.
Anything else? No reproach, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please step down, sir. Is your next witness the witness that was subject to our earlier motion?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. We'll take a brief recess. We have a matter we need to take up outside of your presence. Please continue to heed my admonition. Ready? Rule 25.2.3 provides that objection by a witness in any form of forcible felony, and I use the word witness as that specifically comes from the rule, in any forcible felony prosecution shall enjoy a rebuttable presumption of validity. Presumption that the witness in this matter's request not to be photographed or videotaped is valid and should be honored. However, that presumption is rebuttable by showing that photographing her will not have a substantial effect upon her different, qualitatively different from the effect that being photographed would have on members of the public in general. As I understand it, the witness is the grandmother of the deceased child and the mother of Cheyenne Harris. Is this the only family member of either parent that's going to testify on behalf of the state, Ms. Timmons?
On behalf of the state, yes.
Okay. As I understand it, after the child died, she, as the mother of Cheyenne Harris, received death threats and other verbal attacks on electronic and social media. She's asked not to be photographed during her testimony to prevent those random persons who have expressed ill will against her from knowing what she looks like. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
She enjoys a rebuttable presumption that her concerns are valid and that her request should be honored. I note that the media coordinator is not present, but I certainly want to give the media an opportunity to present any evidence or argument to show that photographing her would not have a substantial effect on her that would be different than any other witness or any other member of the general public concerning these situations. Mr. Reinitz, you wish to
Nancy Hoff, the EMC coordinator, is obviously not here. She's 2 hours in Waterloo. She says if you give her a phone number, she can appear by phone. This is all getting kind of short notice, so she's kind of scrambling to figure out what the argument would be. So if you've got a number she can call in, she can appear by phone like right now.
I mean, you can speak on her behalf. I'm not trying to restrict her. It's difficult to make a complete record telefonically.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, if I could ask a question, has anyone seen proof of these death threats on social media? Has she reported any of this to law enforcement? Reason I ask being that there are people who appear at trial and simply don't want to have their image shown publicly. If there's a compelling reason, then I would agree that that would fall under the sections listed in the canon, and we would withdraw our objection.
I think she shared it with Ms. Timmons, has she not?
Judge, she's here, and if the media can agree to not photograph and film her while we have this hearing, I'd be willing to bring her in here and she can make statements about what has happened.
Are you comfortable with that?
That's fine with me. I mean, if someone else has seen some of this or she's reported it, then again, I would say we withdraw our objection, assuming the ruling is that we can record what she says on the stand without showing her face.
That's absolutely problematic. It's just simply she doesn't want her image under these circumstances. And we can all understand how bold people can be on social media when they don't even know the individual and attack them. The only safety some of us have is that no one knows what we look like. Now we're going to broadcast for appearance. It can certainly be frightening. So
I'm actually going to call Thiele.
he has seen this.
He just told me that they have been reported to him.
Okay, Deputy Pale. You can photograph Deputy Pale. Ms. Timmons?
Deputy Thiele, you know Brandy Harris?
I do.
How do you know her?
Through the process of this investigation, I've spoken with her on many occasions.
Has Brandy Harris come to you at any point during this investigation to express concerns about her safety?
Yes, she has. She's stated to me on a number of occasions that she's received personal threats, and there's also been messages and threats to her through Facebook and other social media.
Did she explain to you what types of threats she was receiving?
She had stated there were death threats and threats against her, and she's actually had to move as a result of communication that she's had where she was living.
She actually changed her residence, correct?
That's correct.
That's all I have.
Okay, you may step down.
And that's what the state would present for evidence.
Anything further from the media?
We'll withdraw our objection.
I appreciate that. We can take a quick restroom break. Let's do it 10 minutes.
Also,
And if we have this issue with any of the witnesses, we'll try to bring it to you as soon as we learn. I just learned about it this morning, so.
I don't believe that there's not.
there may be, well,
Our standard policy is to object to anything, but I was not told that there were death threats involved. We run into people who just think if they object, that the judge will keep them off.
And I won't do that.
Okay.
Judge, Mr. Fletcher, the investigation office, is not going to
All rise for the jury.
Be seated.
The state calls Brandy Harris.
Please raise your right hand. Promise testimony about the truth and nothing but the truth. If so, say I do. Have a seat. Is she fairly soft-spoken? Proceed, Ms. Thiele.
Would you please state your name?
Brandy Harris.
You want to pull that microphone closer to you?
Brandy Harris
Ms. Harris, where do you live at generally?
in Osage.
Do you work?
Yes,
Where do you work at?
at a factory.
How long have you done factory work?
Years and years.
Do you have family that you live with?
Yes,
Your daughter is Cheyenne Harris, correct?
yes.
How old is Cheyenne?
21.
You have 2 grandchildren from Cheyenne?
Yes.
And what were their names?
Nala and Sterling.
Who is the father of Nala and Sterling?
Zach.
When you say Zach, is that Zachary Koehn?
Yes.
What is your current relationship with Cheyenne?
Video chats, letters, things like that.
So you still have contact with her?
Yes.
When Cheyenne was pregnant with Sterling, did she live with you for some period of that time?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
It was towards the end. She flew back, and when she arrived back to Iowa, she stayed with us for a little bit of time.
You say sometime at the end. Was that sometime at the end of her pregnancy?
Yes, yes.
You said she flew back. Were her and the defendant out of state at that time?
Yes.
How long had they been out of state?
I'm not quite sure exact amount of time.
More than a year?
No,
Less than a year?
less than a year.
Less than 6 months?
I'm really not positive on the exact one. I'm sorry. I'm really, really nervous. And
That is okay. So at least less than a year they've been out of state?
yes, because she told us she was pregnant before they ended up taking off. So
Before they had taken off?
yes, yes.
All right, so before they left the state, Cheyenne knew she was pregnant.
Yes, sorry.
She came back to the state near the end of her pregnancy.
Yes, she was supposed to have a longer period of time, and then she ended up giving birth to Sterling 2 weeks after she flew back.
When Cheyenne came back and stayed with you, did she have Nala with her?
Yes.
Now, prior to Cheyenne having Sterling, had the defendant come back into the state?
Yes.
And had Cheyenne and Nala moved in with him somewhere, or were they still at your house?
And they went and stayed with a friend.
All right, so she stayed with you maybe for a week or two?
Someplace in that.
Then they moved out to live with a friend?
Yes.
How did you find out about Sterling's birth?
I was at work and got a phone call from Zach. Got a hold of me at work.
I'm sorry?
I was at work and got a phone call from Zach at work.
He told you that Sterling had been born?
Yes.
Or what did you do?
Immediately left work. I had asked if he'd called the ambulance, and he hadn't called the ambulance yet, and so I told him to call the ambulance immediately, and I beeped the ambulance to the house because I was only a couple blocks away where I was working at.
Okay. And you say call the ambulance. Where were they at when Sterling was born?
They were at the friend's house when Sterling was born.
So Sterling was born. Say yes.
Yes, sorry.
You received a phone call. You went to the house.
Yes.
Got there before the ambulance arrived.
Yes.
The ambulance took Sterling and Cheyenne to the hospital.
Yes.
Did they have to stay in the hospital long?
They were in that hospital a very short period of time. They got shipped to a different hospital because that hospital wasn't set up to deal with certain things.
When Sterling, they stayed at the hospital, what, 2, 3, 4 days?
Once they got to the other hospital, yeah.
And when Sterling was released from the hospital, were you there?
Yes.
When he was released, there was no concerns about his health, correct?
No.
When Sterling and Cheyenne were released from the hospital, did they come back to live with you?
I can't recall. I'm trying to think. I'm just kind of drawing a blank on.
That's okay.
Um,
You were very nervous about coming here today.
yes, extremely nervous. Extremely upset.
Well, let me ask you this. Cheyenne had some hemorrhaging from the pregnancy, correct?
Yes, so yes, she did stay with us for a couple of days after Sterling was born because the first doctor's appointment for the recheck, I had to take Sterling because Cheyenne was too weak to take him still. It was the day after they got out of the hospital, he had to go.
All right. So Cheyenne was recovering herself from the birth,
Yes,
came to your house. You helped her with Sterling and Nala.
yes,
And you said you took Sterling to his first doctor visit. Is that correct?
yes, it was a check after getting out of the hospital with his doctor that had birthed him. He wanted to see him after he got out of the hospital.
Do you remember that doctor's name?
No, he was at Cresco.
He was out of Cresco. When you took Sterling to his first well check, how was he?
He was fine.
There was no health concerns or issues?
And no, when he was born, they had thought he had a breathing issue, but by the time he got out of the hospital, they realized that his breathing was okay, and so he was fine.
All right, so you brought him back to your house, a happy, healthy boy.
Yes.
Did Cheyenne stay with you long?
I don't believe so.
Where did she go to?
Her and Zach had a car place.
Did you say her and Zach got a place?
Yes. I can't remember how long a time it was exactly, but I know they ended up getting an apartment.
Did they get an apartment in Alta Vista?
Yes.
When Cheyenne moved out to go to Alta Vista with Zach, did she take Sterling and Nala with her?
Yes.
After Sterling was born, or shortly after he was born, did you have a baby shower for him?
Yes.
Okay. Where was that?
At my mom was in an assisted kind of housing thing, and they have a group room there that we rented so she could be there too.
Do you know when that was?
Off the top of my head, no, I don't know the date.
Would you say it was, well, Sterling was born on May 1st, 2017, correct?
Yeah, it was within a week or two of him being born because we had not had time to know if he'd be born early.
So sometime in May, you had a baby
Yes.
shower. What kind of presents did Cheyenne and Sterling give at the baby shower?
Rattles, clothes, and my sister made a diaper cake for him, you know, and stuffed animals, the normal things that you get at a baby shower.
What's a diaper cake?
Oh, it's, you just fold them up and you put it up and tower them and make them into so it looks like a cake. And then his theme was Thomas the Train, so she put a bunch of Thomas the Train stuff on it and things.
And with these diaper cakes, you roll up the diapers individually and put a rubber band around it, and then you, like you said, make the cake with it?
Yes.
Did you buy Sterling some things after he was born?
Yes.
What did you buy?
Kind of overbuying grandma. We bought a lot of the gear and stuff once she got back because we didn't buy it ahead of time because we didn't know she'd be back in time, but like the swing and the bouncy chair and things like that. And I had a separate set at my house, so we didn't have to haul it back and forth.
So you had two sets of things for Sterling.
Yes.
You said you bought him a swing, a bouncy chair? Yes.
Yes. And
Did you buy him a car seat too?
Clothes. No, I think the car seat and stroller came from one of Zach's bosses, bought it for him.
Okay. So Zach had received some presents too for the baby.
Yes.
You said you bought Sterling some clothes.
Yes.
When Cheyenne moved out with the kids, did you ever go visit her in the apartment in Alta Vista?
No.
Why not?
Zach and I weren't really getting along very well, so normally we just pick up the children outside if I got to see them, or Cheyenne would come and pick them up from my house.
You and Zach did not have a good relationship?
Not at that point in time.
Right, so after Sterling's birth, you did watch him on different occasions, correct?
Yes, him and Nala.
Him and Nala?
Yes.
And you said if you went to Alta Vista, you would just pick them up there and what, take them back to your house?
Yes.
Were there times that Cheyenne would bring them to your house?
Yes.
Between the time of Sterling's birth and Sterling's death, do you know approximately how many times you cared for Sterling?
Like 4 or 5 times. Max.
What kind of baby was Sterling?
He was a quiet baby. He'd fuss and kind of scrink up his nose and make a face and, you know, normally want what he wanted then. And if you gave it to him, he never worried about screaming. Just a relatively happy baby.
Did Sterling have a feeding schedule that you followed when you had him?
No. It was pretty much when he was hungry, he was hungry.
So if he cried and it was time, you gave him food?
Yeah, if he cried and he wanted food, he pretty much just got it.
Did he have any problems eating?
He did when he was first born. He'd suck in his bottom lip. And then the nipple wouldn't make good contact, but we'd just pull it out a little bit, and then he got over that where he'd actually take the nipple properly.
Okay, so that was a short period of time.
It was a short period of time.
And
It
what
just
kind
get in the way.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it just get in the way. It was going with it.
That was easy and easy.
Yes.
Was he always bottle fed?
I can't recall if Cheyenne tried breastfeeding him. I know she had no, so I don't know if, I can't recall, but if she did, it was before that they left the hospital that they tried.
But after leaving the hospital, he was always fed by bottles?
Yes.
And what type of formula did you give him?
I think he started out on one and they switched him to another when he was in the hospital. I can't remember which exact brand it was.
But it was the powder type
Yes,
that you
yes.
mix up with water?
Yes.
Was Sterling, when you had him, was he having normal diapers? Did he have any issues with that?
As far as using the diaper, no, he was fine on using, going to the bathroom normally, things like that.
Any of the times that you cared for Sterling, did you ever see any health issues with him?
Like,
Were there times where you would say something's not right, he needs to go to the doctor?
oh, no. No, I never saw anything that he needed to go to the doctor for.
What types of things did you see?
On a bunch of stuff because he started having a slight diaper rash, and it was because Nala had been allergic to a certain wipe. So Shy and I tried to switch diapers, switch wipes, and then it had gotten better. So it was improving. And then it got to the point, where it was the last time I had him, he'd gotten a little one back again.
I'm going to ask you to speak up just a little bit.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm trying to think and not freak out.
All right, so occasionally you would see a diaper rash.
Yes.
Anything out of the ordinary?
No.
You talked with Cheyenne about that?
Yes, and we changed a couple things around.
So you changed the types of wipes you were using?
Yeah.
When he had the diaper rash, how did you treat it?
Changed more often, switched to wipes. She did get some of the diaper rash cream stuff. We bought that, and she had that too.
Like an A&D ointment type thing?
Yes. Or Balmex, one of the two.
Did you notice Sterling growing during the time, those times that you had him?
He went from, he was in newborn clothes, and towards the end he was, the last couple times I saw him, he was 0 to 3 months, so he had grown some.
He had grown some?
Yeah.
Did you notice, did you have any concerns about his weight?
He was born really early and in a kind of odd fashion, so he was eating and, doing things that he needed to be doing, so I figured he'd grow over time a little bit faster because he kind of had a rough start.
You said he was born really early. He was born maybe 1 or 2 weeks
It was
early?
about 2 weeks early.
Okay.
But he was also born in an odd way, so.
So you saw that he was growing.
Yes.
Did you have concerns about he was maybe a little thin?
He seemed to be stretching out more than he was filling out. But he was active and, he got to the point where he was smiling and trying to laugh. And the last 2 times I'd seen him, so I wasn't really worried about it because he was an active baby. He seemed to be behaving normally, developing like he should be as far as his behaviors and things like that were.
After Sterling's death, did you have a whole lot of contact with Cheyenne?
I had contact with Shy and Zach right afterwards, and then more contact with Shy, and then the rest. So.
And you say Shy, is that what you call Cheyenne?
Oh, sorry, Cheyenne.
Was most of your contact with her by phone or just the times that you're dropping or picking up the kids?
Before Sterling's death or after Sterling's death?
After Sterling's birth.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought you went the other way. It was normally by phone, or when I saw her picking up, and sorry.
I was informed I did say that, so, yeah.
Please don't confuse me any more than I am.
I apologize, and thank you for correcting me. All right, I'd like to talk to you about August of 2017. Is the beginning of August the last time that you had Sterling in your care?
Yes.
Do you know when that was?
Wapsie days. I'm to believe it was about the 9th of August.
Wapsie days?
Yes.
Okay, what is Wapsie days?
We had him for Saturday. It's just a town thingy. It's not a real big deal, but we took him around garage sale. I'm sure at his age he enjoyed that.
And what?
I'm sure at his age he enjoyed that. He had to go outside in the little play pit, in the little stroller, and we pushed him around and went garage selling and things. With him
And
and
you say we, who are you talking about?
me and my sister Katie and Richard. And
Richard is your significant other?
yes.
And where was Cheyenne and the defendant that day?
I picked up Sterling and Nala from the house, so I don't know. I would assume there.
Did you have them just for the day?
I can't recall whether it was for the day or that evening also.
But they didn't stay overnight?
Not that I remember.
All right. You said this was a Saturday, is that right?
Yes. Yes, it was Saturday. I can't remember whether I had them that night or not. It's been a year ago.
When you had Sterling that day, what was he like?
He was his normal self. I don't have any pictures from that day because I didn't know this was the last time I saw him.
Did he eat okay during that time? Did he use diapers during that time?
Yes.
Did he use diapers during that time?
Yes.
Did he have any type of diaper rash that day?
A mild one. Like I said, it went away and then returned a mild diaper rash.
And you said you spent the day with him in the stroller, going to garage sales and being at your town celebration.
Yes.
And how was Nala during that time?
Happy Halloween.
She was fine. She was active. She, had learned to tell you no.
Was she using that word a lot?
Well, yes. She was that age.
Was Nala a happy kid?
Yes, she was.
And Nala, I've heard her described as kind of a stout little girl.
Yes. Very feisty.
All right, you saw her you had Sterling sometime in the beginning of August.
Yes.
That was the last time that you saw him.
Yes.
How did you find out about his death?
I got a phone call at work.
Who had called you?
Cheyenne.
What was your understanding of why Sterling died?
They went to check on him and he just didn't wake up.
Was there a point in time that you were made aware that Cheyenne was arrested for Sterling's death?
She'd been staying there.
And at that same time, were you also then made aware that the defendant was arrested as well?
He was arrested later that day, I think it was.
And at that point, did you have any idea what was going on?
No, not really.
Cheyenne and the defendant had come to you before for help with things with the kids, is that right?
Yes.
And had they come to you saying they needed diapers or food or anything like that, you would have provided it?
We've done it in the past.
You've done it in the past?
Sorry, head nods, yes. I was nodding my head, that doesn't answer it.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
I have some pictures. At one point, did I ask you to show me some pictures of Sterling?
Yes.
Did you pull those off of your phone?
Yes.
When you pulled them off of your phone, were you able to tell from your phone the dates that they were taken?
Yes. Otherwise, I would not have remembered what the dates were.
All right. And you and I sat down together and you provided me the pictures and told me the dates, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you State's Exhibits 93 through 96. Are these the photographs that you provided to me?
Yes.
Permission to enter 93 through 96.
Any objection?
No objection.
They are admitted.
Permission to publish.
Granted.
I put Exhibit 93 up on the screen. It's a photo of Sterling in his baby chair, or his baby seat.
Yes.
You know about when that picture was taken?
It was a baby shower.
At the baby shower? And you had told me that day that was May 14th, 2017. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
I'm going to put up Exhibit 94. This is just a close-up. Are you holding Sterling?
That's my shirt, so it's in here. Cheyenne.
When we talked about the photographs, if you told me that photo was from May 15th, 2017, does that sound right?
Yes.
So that'd be a day after the baby shower.
Okay. It was a good thing they're dated on my phone because I really am bad at dates.
Exhibit 95. Sterling seems a bit older in this picture, is that right?
Yes.
And if you told me when we looked at these photos that this was from June 9th, 2017, does that sound right?
Yes.
Do you remember taking that picture?
We were outside.
You were outside?
Yes.
Is that the stroller that you used to push
Yes.
Sterling around? And Exhibit 96. You told me that that photograph was taken on July 15th. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
And that's of 2017.
That was the second to last time I saw him.
That was the second to last time you saw him?
Yes.
You had talked earlier that it seems like near the end he started smiling and things like that. Is that the reason for taking this picture?
Yes.
That's all the questions I have.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Harris, I'm going to ask you some questions now. And I'm going to be just kind of loud so the jury can hear me. I'm not yelling at you. I want to make sure. I understand that I have a bit of a deep voice, so I want to be clear about that.
Okay.
And I know that this is extremely difficult for you. I'm a grandfather myself. So if at any time when I'm asking questions, if you need to take a break, you can ask the judge for a break, okay?
Okay.
So the first thing I want to ask you, Ms. Harrison, sometimes I meant to mention this as well, and may occasionally ask you to speak up. I've had a little bit of a difficult time hearing you. I want to make sure the jury hears you. And if I ask you to speak up, I'm not trying to be difficult or mean. It's just to make sure that the jury can hear you, okay?
Okay.
I'm also going to let you know I'm not going to trick you. I've asked you some questions before, and hopefully you understand that I'm not trying to be difficult with you. The first question I have for you, Ms. Harris, is whether Cheyenne worked outside of the home.
No, she did not.
So she would have been the primary caregiver for Sterling, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned on direct examination that Sterling was born a couple of weeks early. You also mentioned that, I believe your words were that he was born in a weird fashion.
Yes.
He was not born in the hospital, right?
No.
My understanding is, or is this your understanding as well, that he was born at a friend of Cheyenne and Zach's house?
Yes.
And he was actually born in the bathtub? Is that
Yes, he
correct?
was.
Your understanding that it was Zach Koehn who actually delivered Sterling?
Yes.
Now, at times when you observed Sterling, when you cared for him and saw him, did you think that he was a little bit small for his age?
Yes.
And generally, you kind of thought this is because he was born early, correct?
Yes.
But there was some improvement. He started to grow, and I think you testified that he was size 0 to 3 months.
Yes. He was growing.
You felt that he was taking a little bit longer to grow because of being a premature birth. Is that accurate?
Yes.
On direct examination, you said, I'm going to try to quote you, but I may not have it exactly right, he seemed to be stretching out more than filling out.
Yes.
Did that mean that you thought that he was growing in length or?
Yes. Yes.
But he wasn't putting on weight, correct?
Yes.
And you were interviewed by law enforcement after Sterling passed away, right?
Yes.
And do you recall using the phrase that he wasn't bulking up, but he was stretching out when you were interviewed?
I guess. Yes.
I understand this is over a year ago, so is it possible that you said
It
that?
is possible. It sounds like something I would have said.
Now, on direct examination, you mentioned that Sterling did not have any health problems when he left the hospital. He had some breathing problems at the hospital, is that correct?
They thought he had some when he was at the first hospital, but once he got to Mercy Hospital, they put him in an incubator to watch him, but they said that he wasn't having the issues that the other hospital that didn't have as much babies gear thought that he was, but they kept him under surveillance anyway to make sure there was no problems.
So that we're clear, that first hospital, was that in Cresco?
It was in Cresco.
And then you mentioned the Mercy Hospital.
That was in Mason City.
Thank you. That was my next question.
Yep.
Did you suggest, or you suggested to Cheyenne that maybe Sterling should sleep kind of propped up?
Yes, because he was having issues with spit up and with the breathing thing after being brought home.
Did you also talk with her about Sterling sleeping at an angle?
Yes, if she was sleeping a little bit with his, up so he's not laying flat, because they recommended that in the books.
I believe that you said that you went to Sterling's first doctor's appointment after he left the hospital. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Did Cheyenne go with you?
No.
Did Zach go with you?
No.
Why didn't Mr. Koehn go with you to that appointment if you know?
I have no idea. My guess would be he was working, would be my guess.
You also talked a little bit about a diaper rash that Sterling had. At one point, that was a bad rash. Is that correct, or a severe rash?
I wouldn't say severe, but it was definitely something you wanted to change and get rid of.
Was it bad enough that You ended up switching the types of wipes that you used?
Yes, but you do that in any breakout. You know, any diaper rash, you try to fix it.
In addition to changing diaper wipes, did you also change diapers because
Yes.
of the rash? My understanding is that as a child, you were allergic to certain kinds of diapers.
I was allergic to diapers, and now I was allergic to wipes of a certain kind.
So you weren't really sure with Sterling what factor.
Yes, but try to change it out and get rid of it as quick as possible. With the cream too was what we used.
Did you go to Sterling's 3-month appointment with the doctor?
No.
And I don't, well, let me ask this, did you ever talk with Cheyenne about the 3-month appointment? I'm not asking what she said, I'm just asking if you ever talked with her.
No, not that I recall.
Before August 30th of 2017, when Sterling was found, did you have a strained relationship with Cheyenne?
Yes.
And I believe you testified that it was Cheyenne who called you on that date and let you know that Sterling had passed away, correct?
Yes.
And your understanding was that she had gone to check on Sterling. At that point, he had passed away, correct?
Yes, so one of them, I don't know exactly how it went, but one of them checked on him and he passed away.
I think I'm done, though. I'm just going to check my notes to make sure. Thank you, Ms. Harris. That's all the questions that I have.
Redirect.
You were asked if you ever went to Sterling's 3-month appointment. Are you even aware if there was a 3-month appointment?
I'm not aware of one.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Brown?
Let me just check something quickly, Your Honor.
Take your time.
I have nothing else.
This witness be excused.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Harris, you're free to leave. Next witness.
Your Honor, the state would call Jordan Clark. Change of plans, Your Honor. We're going to call Mr. Thiele back.
Just for one question.
Who's that? Deputy, you remain on your oath.
I forgot to ask you yesterday, what were the dates of WAPSI days?
It would have been August 4th, 5th, and 6th. That's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
That's all I have.
That was 2017. State.
Correct.
No other questions.
Step down. Be true to your word.
I think our next witness is on his way up, so he'll be here in a minute.
Do you need to take a break, or do you think you'll be here soon after you can wait in here?
I don't know.
Feel free to stand, stretch your legs. you will be the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do. Have a seat. Mr. McCown.
Thank you. Sir, if you could please state your first and last name and spell them both for the record.
Jordan, Jordan, Clark, Clark.
And sir, how old are you?
24,
And where do you live?
Charles City, Iowa.
Did you grow up there?
Yes, for the most part.
Who do you live with?
Mom and dad,
And are you employed, sir?
self-employed.
What type of work do you do?
Currently mechanic and some semi-driving.
When you say mechanic, what type of equipment do you work on?
Mostly diesel.
Diesel trucks?
Yes.
How long have you done that?
About 8 years now.
And how did you get involved in that business?
Family trade.
And you said something about driving?
Yes.
What do you mean?
It used to be over the road. Now just kind of local deliveries.
And tell me, sir, do you know the defendant, Zachary Koehn?
Yes.
How do you know him?
Just as a co-worker.
And when did you first meet him?
Last spring, I believe it was.
And where did you meet him at?
At a farm we were working for, hauling chickens.
Were you working for the same employer at the time?
No.
Do you remember what month it would have been last spring of 2017?
Let's say April-ish, somewhere in there.
And so you were working hauling chickens and the defendant was working hauling chickens, but they were for different companies. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you remember where the farm was located where you met him?
It was down by Parkersburg.
And when you hauled chickens, what were you doing?
We would just pull in and basically wait for the cattle crews to load the trailers and then haul them back to the plant.
After you met the defendant in April of 2017, did you become friends with him?
Yes.
What did you like about him?
Just kind of personality for the most part.
And did you ever work for the same company?
No.
Did you often show up at the same farms to pick up chickens?
Yes.
How often, starting in May or April of that year, would you see the defendant at those farms where you picked up the chickens?
Probably every day or 4 out of 5 days a week.
And did you spend time with him every day that you worked?
Usually we'd have some wait time.
And would you talk?
Yeah.
And would that be from April until August?
Yeah.
During all those times that you saw the defendant, did he ever tell you that he had a baby?
Not that I can recall.
He didn't tell you that he had a baby son?
No.
Did you know he had a little girl?
Yes.
Did he talk about the little girl?
Yes.
How often would he talk about his little girl?
At least once a night or every time I see him.
But never about the baby? Is that no?
No.
What would you do with the defendant when you were at these breaks?
Usually just talk or kill time, just sitting around.
Did you ever use drugs?
Yes.
Did you use drugs yourself?
Yes.
What drugs did you use?
Myself, meth.
Did you ever see the defendant use drugs?
Yes.
What drugs did he use that you saw him use?
Meth and cocaine were the main two. A couple of rare occasions was marijuana.
How often would you use the methamphetamine?
Daily.
Did you ever go to his apartment?
Yes.
How many times did you go to his apartment?
Like 2 or 3 times, I believe.
And where was the apartment located?
In Alta Vista.
Can you describe where you went inside the apartment?
Right in the main door, be the living room, and then into his bedroom on the left side.
So when you walk into the apartment, there's 2 bedrooms, is there not?
I believe so, yes.
And did you go into one of the bedrooms?
Yes.
And what was in the bedroom you went in?
It was just a TV, mattress, some clothes, I believe.
And was that Zach's bedroom?
Yes.
The defendant?
Yes.
Did you ever go in the other bedroom?
No.
Did you ever see the other bedroom door open?
Not that I can recall.
And how many times were you at that apartment?
2, maybe 3 times.
What did you do at the apartment?
Mainly just sat around, kind of BS back and forth.
Did you use any drugs at the apartment?
Yes.
Who used drugs at the apartment?
Me and Zach.
How about Miss Harris? Was she present?
Yes.
Did she use any drugs?
Yes.
What drugs did you use at the apartment?
Meth.
How did you ingest the meth?
I smoke.
How about Mr. Koehn, the defendant? What drugs did you see him use at the apartment?
Just meth. Just meth.
How did he ingest it?
Smoke as well.
How about Miss Harris? What drugs did you see her use at the apartment?
Just meth.
How did she ingest it?
Smoke.
Where was Nala, the 2-year-old?
She would be out in the living room.
Was she present when the drugs were being ingested?
As in the same room?
Yes.
No.
Where did you use the drugs at in the apartment then?
I was in his bedroom.
When would it have been in 2017 after you met Mr. Koehn that you went to the apartment?
Probably, say within 6 weeks. I want to say it was right around July, maybe.
When would have been the last time you were in his apartment?
Probably end of July.
The times that you were in his apartment, did you see a baby?
No.
Did anybody talk about a baby being present in the apartment?
No.
Did anybody go in that back room and check on a baby?
Not that I can recall.
Did you hear a baby?
No.
Did you know they had a baby in that apartment?
No.
What was Nala doing when you were there?
From what I recall, I was just always running around playing.
Did you see and watch the defendant interact with Nala?
Yes.
What did you see?
At the time, happy father and daughter.
Did you care for Nala?
Seemed like it.
I want to turn your attention to the overnight hours of August 29th and to the overnight hours of August 30th, 2017. Did you work that night?
Yes.
And that is, the police were called on the 30th, just so you put you in context, okay?
Okay.
So August 29th to August 30th. You worked that night?
Yes.
Did you haul chickens?
Yes.
Did you see Mr. Koehn, the defendant, that night?
Yes.
Where did you see him?
Was at the farm.
And you remember where the farm was located that you picked up the chicken?
I do not. 100%.
And what did you do with Mr. Koehn at the farm?
I believe we just kind of basically said hi and bye as he was finishing up as I was pulling in.
Did you use any drugs with him?
More than likely, but I can't remember for sure.
Is it hard to keep straight how many times you used drugs?
Yes.
Were you using drugs every day?
Yes.
Was there a time when you were with Mr. Koehn that you didn't use drugs?
Not that I can recall.
Now, did he call you after he left the Simply Essential plants in Charles City?
Yes.
And where were you when you received the call from Mr. Koehn?
I was still at the plant when he called.
And when he called, what did he tell you?
That he was missing a little bag, or a little black bag.
And what was the little black bag? Do you know what that was?
For the most part, yes.
What was it?
It was mainly his drug paraphernalia and some miscellaneous bag.
So he called you and told you he was missing?
Yes.
Did he want you to do anything?
Wanted me to check around the truck and in his truck if it was still there, or if he lost it somewhere after that.
What time did you receive the call?
I to say between midnight, 3 in the morning.
And what did you do?
At the time, not knowing for sure what reasonings were, I went and looked for the bag.
Did he seem concerned about where the bag was?
Yes.
What was he concerned about?
Just where it was or what had happened to it.
Was he concerned that somebody might find it?
Yes.
How did you know that?
Best memory is he had made the comment that he needed to find it before anybody else did.
And this was between midnight and 3 a.m.?
Approximately, yes.
And did you go looking for it?
Yes.
Where did you go?
Across the parking lot to his semi, checked around that area, around where his car usually was parked.
Is that where he told you to look?
Yes.
Did you find the bag?
No.
And this bag, you were told, or maybe you knew, had drugs in it?
Yes.
What kind of drugs?
As far as I knew, just meth and possibly a scale and paraphernalia.
Do you know how the defendant got the drugs that he used?
No. Do not.
Do you know who paid for them?
That I do not for sure.
Did you give him drugs?
Occasionally, kind of just as we were together, back and forth thing.
Did you give drugs to him?
Yes.
Did you pay him?
Not that I can ever recall.
Did he pay you?
Yes.
How much did he pay you?
Like $20 to $40 once in a while.
$20 to $40? How much meth can you buy for $20 or $40?
Maybe half a gram.
How many people can use a half a gram of methamphetamine?
Possibly 1 to 2, depending on how much they were, how their tolerance are.
How often did he pay you $20 or $40 for methamphetamine?
Usually like once or twice a week when he would run out or come low on his.
How did you learn that the defendant had a baby that had died?
Morning, I believe it was, on the 30th, when another coworker called that he passed away.
And when you were told that he had a baby that died, did you know Mr. Koehn had a baby?
No.
Were you confused?
Very.
Why?
Because of just unaware of what they were talking about.
After Sterling had died, did you have a conversation with the defendant about talking to the police?
Yes.
Tell the jury about that.
Mainly it was just, if they call, don't say anything or kind of stretch the truth, so to speak.
The defendant told you to do that?
Yes.
When did he tell you to do that?
That was the afternoon, late morning, early afternoon of the 30th.
Did he tell you what to say?
No.
Now, sir, prior to Sterling's death, were you involved romantically in any fashion with Cheyenne Harris?
No.
How about after Sterling's death? Did you become romantically involved with Sterling's mother, Cheyenne Harris?
Yes.
Did you date her?
Somewhat, so yeah.
Now, you remember being interviewed by the police officer back on October 6, 2017, correct?
Yes.
And Deputy Reed Thiele came to your residence and talked to you, right?
Yes.
And you weren't exactly honest with the word.
Not at that time, no.
In fact, you told him that you never used drugs with the defendant, right? Correct?
Yes.
And that wasn't true, was it?
No.
Why did you tell him that?
At the time, just kind of confused and in a sense scared.
Were you trying to help Mr. Koehn?
A little bit at first, yes.
Were you worried about yourself getting in trouble?
A little bit as well, yeah.
Are you telling the truth today?
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
When you talked to Chief Deputy Reed Halo, you didn't tell him about the drug use, did you?
No.
And how often were you using?
Daily.
And how much would you use at a time?
At a time, maybe quarter of a gram. Throughout the day, though, it would be probably close to a gram.
Now, you gave a deposition back in March of this year, didn't you?
Yes.
If you told us that you were using daily and that you were using roughly a gram a day, that would be consistent with that, wouldn't it?
Yes.
So half a gram, that actually wouldn't get you very far, would it?
No.
If you were using daily, then you were using roughly 7 grams a week.
Approximately, yeah.
And this meth use may have affected your observations,
It could have, yes.
affected your memory, among other things.
Yes.
Now, you testified on direct examination that you didn't know that Zach and Cheyenne had a baby.
Correct.
But at least one of the times when you came over, you were told you needed to be quiet, so you didn't wake the baby, weren't you?
Yes.
And you do remember Zach talking about trading babies while he was out on the road to get baby supplies.
Right. At the time, I was uncertain if he was referring back to Nala.
Okay. Nala wasn't really a baby, was she? She was 2.
Right.
Now, when you talked to Chief Deputy Reed Halo, it wasn't just the methamphetamine you didn't talk about. You also didn't talk about your relationship with Cheyenne, did you?
I don't believe so.
You didn't tell him. In fact, you told him that you and Cheyenne weren't close.
Okay. Probably, possibly.
And in fact, you had developed a relationship with Cheyenne, didn't you?
Yes.
You were essentially boyfriend and girlfriend. To some extent.
Yeah.
Zach didn't know about that, did he?
I don't think to the extent that it was, no.
It went on for quite a while where you were having sexual relations with Cheyenne and Zach didn't know about it.
Correct. Possibly. I'm not sure if he ever found out or how soon he would have.
Now, you drove to the same farms. Did ultimately, were those chickens that you were picking up, were they being transferred to, what's the name of the company, Simply Essentials?
Yes.
So you were just driving for another trucking company that was doing the same thing that Nugent Nuggets was doing?
Correct.
So there are multiple trucking companies out there who own several rigs and pay drivers to transport these chickens from the farms to Simply Essentials.
Yes.
And you were actually driving for another one of the companies.
Correct.
But you would have been doing the exact same thing, wouldn't you?
Yes.
You would drive to the farm, you would have to wait at the farm
Yes.
until the crew, how many trucks would be there at a time?
Usually there'd be at least 2 up to 8 to 10.
It's my understanding that sometimes catching and loading those chickens, and depending on where you are in line to be loaded, you could be there for quite a while.
Yes.
And what nights of the week were these runs made?
The Sunday night through Thursday night.
So it's a 5-day week, but it starts on a Sunday night and runs through Thursday night and Friday morning.
Correct.
And it wouldn't be unusual for you guys to still be there or driving back even as the sun's coming out.
No, not. Yeah.
In fact, safe to say you guys didn't get a whole lot of home time during that 5-day period, did you?
It would depend on how close the farms were. Some days we might be done in an hour, some days 12 hours.
And that would depend on where you particularly were going.
Correct.
You didn't always go to the same farms, did you?
Not always, no.
And there were such things as double loads?
Yes.
What's a double load?
Would be go to the farm, back to the plant, and then back to the farm again.
You'd have to take a second trailer, wouldn't you?
Yes.
So you'd go back to the farm and pick up another load and go back.
Correct.
And that could take a lot of hours, couldn't it?
Yes.
Roughly twice what it took to do one load.
Easily.
Essentially a double shift.
Yes.
How would that be reconciled with the number of hours that you guys were allowed to be working and driving?
It wasn't.
It wasn't reported, was it?
Right.
Is it safe to say that drivers would keep multiple sets of logs?
Yes.
One for their own use, one for official use?
Yes.
And things like double loads wouldn't show up on the one for official use, would they?
Correct.
It's exhausting work, isn't it?
Can be, yes.
Now, when you gave your deposition back in March, I think you also talked about training schedules. What's that?
It would be if somebody had prior engagements or needed time off, we just switched load times or where we loaded at per se that night.
Okay. Would you switch with Zach?
Occasionally I did, yes.
So you'd actually switch with drivers from other companies?
Yes.
So when you did that, you would drive their route and they would drive yours?
Correct.
Occasionally, did you have other drivers, if somebody needed, was there ever times when somebody else would drive for you?
As in,
As a substitute?
right, no.
What is a catch crew?
Catch crew was, I believe it was 5 to 10, basically just people running around inside the barn. We'd catch the chickens, load them onto the kennels or crates, and then load those back onto the trailer
When would they do this?
while we were at the farm.
They would do this at night while the chickens were sleeping, wouldn't they?
Yes,
And that's why the runs were always essentially third shift, running from
5 or 6 in the evening until
5, 6 in the morning usually.
5 or 6 in the morning.
Correct.
And that wouldn't, those 12-hour shifts like that, that wouldn't actually be reflected in the law, would it?
Usually, yeah, the 12 hours, it'd be close anyway. Slight modifications usually, but it'd be more accurate than most.
When did your relationship with Cheyenne start?
I'd say mid-September.
When did it end?
For the most part, end of October.
October of which year?
2017.
Well, okay, I'm a little confused. You gave us a deposition in March of 2018, didn't you?
Yes.
And didn't you tell us that it was actually still going on at that time?
It was to the point of relationship-wise went from boyfriend, girlfriend down to kind of a pen pal type friendship.
You still had at least an emotional relationship with Cheyenne in March of 2018.
True, yes.
And at least at that time, you didn't like Zach, did you?
No.
And as you sit here today, you don't like Zach, do you?
No.
Just 1 second. Nothing further. Redirect.
Thank you. Sir, do you have any children?
No.
In your mind, when you were at the apartment and were told to be quiet, not wake up the baby, do I understand that you thought that was a reference to Nala?
Yes.
In your mind was a 20-month-old kid a baby?
For the most part, yeah.
That's all I have.
Anything else?
Very briefly. I think you said that you were at the home 3 or 4 times?
2 to 3 maybe.
2 or 3 times? And then on each of those occasions, I think you told us that you used methamphetamine.
Yes.
And that you smoked it in the bedroom.
Yes.
But Nala's bed is in the bedroom.
Okay.
In that same room, isn't it?
Not that I was aware of.
And when he told you that he was trading for stuff on the road, trading stuff to get baby supplies, that included formula, didn't it?
Yes.
Nala's a 2-year-old.
Correct.
2-year-olds don't use formula, do they?
I didn't have kids. I wasn't 100% sure. But no, you're right.
Nothing further.
Just one. Mr. Clark, I assume that you're not an expert in all things baby, are you?
No.
there's probably not much you know less about, is there?
No, correct.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Nothing.
Please witness be excused.
Yes, Your Honor.
Clerk, you're free to go.
Thank you.
State's next witness.